Hey everybody, I've been joined by Ricard and Anders from Room17 Games, and as you can probably guess from behind me, you can see we're talking about Miremarsh. So, guys, welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you. Anders, always good to see you, mate. Ricard, pleasure to meet you, mate.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
What have you brought for me today?
Well, we have brought our game Miremarsh, which is on Kickstarter at the moment. We're halfway through the campaign, and we thought, what could be better than come to Beast and War and tell some more about it, basically.
Yeah, why not?
So that's what we brought.
Okay, what is the key narrative of the game? What are we fighting for? Because I'm seeing lots of little goblins, and we're sort of scrambling around a marshy area. What's happening?
Okay, the idea is that these goblins do live around or in between the marsh. So the marsh is their hunting grounds, their exploration beats, their secret paths to places. But they're goblins,
Yes.
so they can't help themselves to get in trouble. So basically, they dwell into the marsh, trying to do whatever goblins do when they go into a marsh, and try to survive. And that's their day-to-day life.
Okay.
So in this occasion, particularly, the setting of the game is that they're looking for a new king. So they are setting into the marsh, trying to prove that they are the best goblin to become the next king.
I see.
Not all of them would actually make it through. So that's the setting, you know.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, looking at the board, it is absolutely gorgeous. And is it an exploration-based game then? Because I'm seeing covered tiles here, and I'm seeing revealed ones. So I'm guessing the revealed ones are places that we've already been, and when we go into them, we reveal them. Yeah.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, I just went into this one. It's a lair. So what would happen, say I took this goblin and I was heading into here?
Well, the first thing you would do, that would obviously be covered. You go there unexplored. Twist, turn the tile. That's tile number one. So you get a level one. Because it's a lair, you would basically place a monster there. That will be a randomly picked monster, and that's what you would actually face.
I see. Now, one thing you've told me about this game is that it's a dice-based game with one of the mechanics that I really love, which is actually choosing when to re-roll your dice to actually get the symbols you need to complete your quest. So, in fact, if I very quickly grab this, I can show it under close camera. So, on this, we have the different quests that you need and the different symbols that you need to roll on your dice. Yeah?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we have a giant slug, and we have 3 different quests.
Yeah, the first one there in with the metal background is a mandatory part of the challenge. So you have to do that. You have to even spend a foot from the dice you already rolled when you started your turn, or you re-roll your dice, whatever you have left when you come into where the giant slug is. And roll your dice, and then you spend a foot to survive the encounter in the first place.
I see.
And then you can go down where you had the wooden shields, and as you see there, next to them, that's not mandatory, that's a choice you make. And you can either maybe you have roll the dice so you have a sword to spend, and you spend that and get a gold, and then you need double swords to slay the giant slug and get his bones there.
Yeah. I see. And one thing that I'm seeing is we have all of our goblin cards here. So this is Catcher. And it's very simple to actually tell what dice you're rolling just from this little bar here, yeah? So this would roll 2 green, 1 of the yellow, and 1 of the blue.
Yes.
And then the dice actually differentiate what symbols you can possibly roll. So some are better for fighting, some are better for moving, some are better for magic. You get a little special roll, and then you've got a couple of inventory slots. I have to say, I absolutely love the gorgeous artwork you guys are doing. These are so cute.
Very good. One of the key points, or the 2 main important points of the game, is actually knowing your dice. You know, knowing what results those dice can bring you. Obviously, if you are into the nitty gritty, you can know the statistics of each one of them. But in essence, just knowing that you would not get a dagger in a white die. That's it. So you won't attempt to test that way. The other key point is, do I roll again or not?
Yeah, it's that push your luck mechanic that I find so nice. It's that see, one of our guys in the office here, Colin, he loves a little bit of gambling mechanics. So this would be right up his alley. And he would just be like, oh, do I? Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah. He's the most important. I think it's the driven of the game. There is luck involved because obviously there's dice.
Yes.
But you manage that. I mean, it's obviously you'll be more lucky if you're running one die to get one dagger, and if you wait another turn and roll your 5 dice to get to get one dagger.
Yeah, and as much as possible, you try to stack everything in your favor. So you have the right dice to roll, you have everything bonus, you have as many dice as you need, and so on. So you can, and with spells, pets, and so on, you can add bonuses to the dice and so on, and what you roll to manage the challenge.
Yeah, well, you're mentioning pets, so we get a deck of pets in here, and you have to buy these. So as you're wandering around the marsh, you're going to be finding gold, and I assume that you have to come back to the correct location to actually buy your pets. So you've got like 3 shops here in the middle of the board, as well as a couple of movement challenges to actually get to them, depending on how you're moving to them. But when you actually get to the pets, some of them are really cool for what you're going to be able to do with them. So first one here, we have a sick dog. It gives you an extra inventory slot, and you just get a free foot, which you can use once per turn, Once per turn, if I quickly cycle through a couple of them. We have an angry goose. So once per turn, if you roll an eye and a foot, you can spend those to actually get a gold and an extra inventory slot. We have a goblin. So what, is this just some goblin kid that has decided to follow you? You will be the next Goblin King. I follow you, sire.
Yeah, he's a bit of a sidekick, I think.
So when on a hex with another goblin, if you roll an eye, a foot, and a dagger, you can steal an item from them. Oh, that's nasty. In fact, there's an important question. Is this competitive, cooperative, coopetition?
You would not operate a lot in this game. These are goblins. They must behave like goblins. So they would seek any chance to let you behind in their favor. So no, you don't play with other players. You throw stuff at other players. You snatch things from other players. So each player would have their own intentions, which will be obviously broken by the marsh.
Of course,
you know, there's no very good at planning. But no, it's not co-op.
Okay. We then also have our spells. Now these are quite expensive, but they have some super abilities on them, which are some of them are a little bit crazy. So let me find a couple of nice ones here. Okay, so here's a couple of the different things that they can do. Okay. So this one just gives you +2 swords once per round, which is lovely. This one, +1 gold at the end of each turn. Ooh, that could be really good if you're wanting to buy stuff. You've got +2 feet. Shifty. You may ignore traps. Compulsory challenges on trap locations treat it as optional. Oh, that's very good.
That's very nice. Yeah.
Well, one of the key points of the game is as you explore and die, you're trying to boost up your goblin. That's why slots are very important. You know, the restriction of slots, hence pets are coming very handy. And spells is like a permanent slot that gives you already the results that you will probably want from that particular item. So managing the slots is very important. What you have, what you drop, what you get. Getting some pets is about that's your abilities in a way through the game.
Yeah. Now, one of the interesting mechanics as well that you guys have engineered into this is the fact that you're never really out of the game if you die. Your goblin dies, but you get a brand new one just wandering out from the village in the middle, going, oh, well, he's dead. My turn to try.
That is correct.
Yeah, there is always a goblin waiting in the wings for taking over when the first one has failed, basically. Then the next one tries, and in a typical game you can get through a few of them, as we have seen. You know, we can get 2, 3, 4 up to 4 goblins on players. You know, if you're playing that way and are a bit unlucky and so on, but that can also be a tactic. Play through a couple of quick goblins to see how the lie of the land is. Basically.
Charge them out into the marsh blindly.
Just to get an idea, and then go for maybe the third goblin, that you have a perfect track where you can see where you can go and what you can get. And scoop up equipment the first 2 has dropped and so on. So,
and one of the other main mechanics you've put in here also is the fish, which is essentially a game timer mechanic. So every time you end a turn and your goblin survived, your goblin, obviously, it's the end of the day, he has to eat. You know? If your goblin has died, he doesn't need to eat. You know. And then there was one other thing you guys showed us. We played a quick game off camera. So say my goblin was here and died. The next time it comes around to me, I have a new goblin. and I have the option of either respawning in the center or paying the fish to actually respawn where I was, which can be good, can be risky, so there are lots of little tactics that you can play here. Lovely mechanics, and I'm really looking forward to actually getting a game of this on camera for everybody at home to see everything that I'm talking about just mashed together and actually work.
It'll be a pleasure.
Yeah.
Another important thing you guys have done is the art direction you've taken is beautiful, and you've translated them into the miniatures gorgeously. So we actually have 3 stages of the development of the miniatures, yeah?
Yes, 3 stages there is, yeah.
So this was one of your initial ones. This is the first ones that you actually put out. And I have to say, this looks great to me as it is. I mean, like, what was your own thinking when you guys first got these ones through?
Well, we were aiming at obviously it's all about costs and effectiveness in the price and the cost per unit. So we were thinking on a board gaming piece that ideally would be cast in one piece.
Yep.
So no pre-assembly required in the factory. But we're all war gamers, and we all love minis,
of course.
And although they look fantastic, and actually the sculptor's director is also a war gamer and a miniatures lover, and we all thought, well, you know, we're going Kickstarter. We truly believe in this project. We're going to go for it, like 100%. So we went back to Matt and asked, look, let's just break it down. If it's needed, you know, let's worry about undercuts in a different way. Let's make the best out of those. And that's why we went back to the working bench. He took the minis, and we start splitting them here and there to be able to add more detail.
Yeah, and then this would be the stage 2.
That's the stage 2.
So this is the revisited one, and you can instantly see the difference because you went from a really nice looking game piece to something that I would actually quite happily sit down and spend a few hours painting and doing some nice work to. I love the fact that you've added a little oil to this guy. He looks fabulous. And then what you did was one thing that everybody should be thinking of doing these days. You guys went to one of the greatest painters in the industry, Mr. Angel Heraldez, and had him paint up a set. So we actually have some of the goblins sitting here painted. So let me actually see if I can get both of these in other camera at the same time to show everybody, because when you see the painted version that Angel has done, my word, that man, I know I always say this, but goddamn that man and all of his talent. I look at this and I weep just to wish I could paint something so well. Now, that's exactly the same model as the previous. They come from exactly the same resin batch. Yeah, exactly. Well, bringing them back in, you can see all of the details are there. You know, everything is identical on the two, and Angel's work just makes it gorgeous. And if you want, you can take the time and actually do this. But the amount of detail that's on these. In fact, I was talking to our in-house painter Romain recently, and he said you can get miniatures that are quite plain. And then the painter has more work to do. Or you can get miniatures like this, which are gorgeously detailed.
Thank you.
And the miniature almost paints itself for you. You know, everything there. You can see where you're going to do your leather, your cloth, your skin, everything like that. And cycling through some of these, my favourite one has to be this creature. And this is actually another of the mechanics you guys have put in. So you've put in some form of bog monster. So what is this thing?
Well, that's a swamp creature which can be activated when you roll certain dice, the black and the blue, which is a powerful dice, but on certain rolls there will also be a swamp monster symbol. And that brings out the swamp monster on the level 2 tiles, and the player to the right of the player who rolled it maneuvers him and can obviously spring the swamp monster on the unlucky players around him, basically.
It's going back to your co-op or competitive. Well, that's one of the most direct interactions between players, because the player on the right would move the swamp monster, obviously, at his best interest.
So if it's coming after you and all of a sudden the person on your right or your left starts rolling it a lot, you're like, okay, move it away, get away from me, I don't want you here. Okay, let's have a quick look through some of the miniatures, because we do have the full set painted here, and oh my god, I can't even, they're just so gorgeous. So, who is this little dude?
That's Spooker. He is, he loves Halloween, this goblin, obviously.
Yeah.
It's and he makes everyone afraid of following him. So he has a nice little special rule going with his spooky appearance as well.
So it's harder to follow him about. Okay.
It is, yeah. It adds a foot into the cost of following.
I see. And this little dude?
That's Mixer. He loves to mix various potions and mostly with an explosive or gaseous effect, and
you can
throw
change
them about.
you can change results to turn them into magic, into the pentagram.
I see.
So it's quite useful too.
Well, I suppose anything you do in this world can be made magic if you add some gunpowder.
Yeah,
Totally, yeah.
yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. Now, this is one of my favorite little dudes. So this little guy, who is he?
And that is, we actually had to look up what he is called, that one now.
Okay. Well, then, I know he gets an extra foot whenever he's going
that's
through Secret Path.
Skulker.
Yeah. And he actually starts with a bit of equipment, which is really nice. So he gets a slightly bigger dice pool, which is great.
He gets an extra rope and some gold, and he's one of the goblins we call the fighty kind of goblins. And he's handy for that, and he's also good at finding secret paths for the marsh and so.
We then had this one. Now, Sam got to go with this guy in our off-camera game with the massive blunderbuss.
He's got a very good and interesting approach to rules. Considering that everything needs to be nicely flavored. He's just a goblin. He goes around, but if you choose, you can actually use your blunderbuss. So you can shoot it, rolling a black die. But obviously that would make the swamp monster aware. So it always counts as if had rolled a tentacle.
I see. But even that, you could use that to your advantage.
Absolutely. If the swamp monster is no nearby, you can absolutely use that. Absolutely.
Moving swiftly along, I think we had a look at this little guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Catcher, that is.
Catcher, yeah.
He's amazing. He starts with a pet. Straight from the beginning.
Yeah, so he's getting that permanent bonus.
Yeah. So
which is a very good bonus.
It is indeed.
We then have this little one.
Sneaker,
very sneaky.
which we all know can
Will suffer.
sneak up and steal directly from a goblin. So he's nice. So people like player interaction and screwing someone over.
Yeah.
He's great for that because he can, on a certain result, steal an item from another player. Same X.
There's a big goblin.
Yeah,
That's Golper.
Yeah. He likes to eat, basically. Yeah.
Really, I would never have guessed with this miniature.
But the great thing of Golper is that, as you said, Fisher is very important as your timer. You can't just be lurking around, not doing anything, because time would consume and then you would be out of the game.
Yes.
What Golper does is that he can consume, he can bank in bones instead of using a fish. So it's a very interesting. Bones aren't that common anyway. They cost you money, but you can buy bones. You can get bones in by killing or defeating certain challenges and monsters. So he's got a resource or an interesting resource to get in.
We have a little bit of on him. We have been discussing just to make the mini looking more like the art and the mini.
Yeah.
That since he's eating a bit of the swamp creature, we might put him in. If he managed to kill off a swamp creature attack, he actually gets a fish. It will say a bit of the swamp monster.
He's eating some calamari.
Exactly.
That's what he does.
So that will be an extra rule for him.
We then have our little wizard guy who we were looking at earlier.
Fizzler, he's magic basically.
He can use bones, so he basically he caches bones to get blue dice.
Lovely.
So that's very good.
We then have some little sniper guy.
That's Hunter.
He's he can choose to reroll a black dice when he is on a monster lair. So he's a monster killer. He's effective. You can send him in on fights basically, whether it's nasty monsters and reroll his black dice.
Lairs and monsters are very interesting because I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but you can peep on the marsh before jumping ahead and going for a tile. You can actually, with certain results, you can actually take a look at what's on that tile, and you can expand that onto the tile and a monster if you get a good results.
I see.
So
Yes, it's not just blindly wandering
absolutely
around.
not. I mean, if you want to go crazy and roll dice and go ahead, you be my guest. You're gonna die. You know,
and you're just giving your opponents
absolutely, yeah. And that is, as Andy said, that is in itself a strategy. There are some people that would burn through a couple of goblins, see how the path lies ahead, and then follow suit. Obviously, other goblins would also follow suit. So the minute you start losing equipment around, people would be gathering also.
And I found playing a lot about the demos and expo and so on is sometimes on level 1 heck tiles is questionable if you're even gonna use a die to peak because you know it's gonna be a level 1 challenge.
Yeah.
So you might as well just use that foot that you must use to get there anyway, and save your eye that you have rolled for another roll that you can use to defeat them.
If it's perhaps a requirement that you then haven't rolled.
Exactly. So, but sometimes that backfires as well. You know? It's.
I think the biggest challenge is to actually fight yourself and getting carried away.
Yeah.
You know, because I roll 6 dice. What can go wrong? A lot of things can go wrong. This is the Miremarsh.
Well, it's one of those things I always say. You know, once in a while the dice gods from on high will just sit, smile, and giggle maniacally.
Yeah, I had somebody just actually bet on a roll and lost.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, like, when we played our off-camera game, I saw you had peeked into an area, walked into it, and I was just like, well, I'm following you for now. You've already done my work for me.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah,
it works. The great thing is that certain challenges. I mean, there's 4 rebuild challenge or quests that would make you win the game.
Yeah, these in the corners.
So the objective is to go to one of these challenges and make it through. You win.
Yeah. And whenever you're going to these, I assume it's just boom, boom, boom. You have to do all of them in one shot.
Once you're in, you're in. You can't. There's no turning back. So either you pass or you die. So you, in a way, you need to go there when you feel you're ready to pass those challenges. So it's obviously very important to keep an eye on which goblin you have, how is he been building up, and the challenge that you or the quest that you are aiming at. When you change your goblin, you might want to change your quest because he's not as fit as it was previous or your previous goblin.
Well, we saw this in our game. I was going after the kill the king, but I didn't realize my goblin had 0 magic, so I couldn't complete the quest. Now, mercifully, you guys actually had me re-roll because you can actually bribe your opponents to re-roll if you really want to. So you can say, "Oh, I'll give you a fish if go on re-roll, go on re-roll. I'll give you a fish."
It's going to be an easy one.
And you got a goal and a fish for doing that re-roll.
And dying.
And subsequently dying, but it turned out maybe a good thing anyway because you wouldn't been able to handle the challenge. That you were.
Yeah, you ended up having Fizzler, and that is a very good suited for killing the king. So that was
and remember, if you had tried to turn back there or go to the other challenge, the amount of fish you would have eaten would probably permanently have killed you.
Yeah,
because once you're out of fish, then you're out. So that would have been worse for you than dying. That,
but it's the other nice thing. Once you're running out of fish, you're all running out of fish at a very close rate. So it's not I'm out of the game and now I have to sit for like an hour or half an hour while my mates finish the game. Nah, you're about 5 minutes away from the end. At that point.
You are at that stage.
Well, the group of players has a number of goblins between 12 and 6, I think it is. And those are the goblins that would set the tempo of how do we kill them to succeed. So the more you enter the marsh and the more you kill goblins, the less resources there is. The more is uncovered. So there is a point where there is no return. You know, you mess about in the middle and try to understand better what's underneath each tile. But there is a point where either because you're running out of fish or there's no options, you're just going for it.
One of the other things that we did while we were playing, which I thought was a really nice thing, is when you die, you lose all your gear, but it's not lost from the game. It essentially, you know, the way in some games when you die, your equipment just goes everywhere. That's what happens in this as well. So the other goblins can start running around grabbing your stuff after you're dead.
And it does happen.
And it's very important to be able to grab that to build yourself up to quickly try to go for the challenge. But it will just be about time to go for the challenge before everyone runs out of fish or someone else makes the challenge. So it is.
I'm not sure if it's a statement, but I think you cannot complete a challenge if you haven't built up your character.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do any of those challenges with the standard 4 or 5 dice. I think you need to actually go and do stuff too.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, when we were playing through, whenever it came to the end, I was blitzing for the final challenge, and I noticed that where I had died, my equipment, I had left it on the ground, so on the path to the challenge, I was gathering up my equipment that I had dropped onto that new character, so building myself up very quickly as I went there.
Yeah.
If someone else had been nearby, they could have just went, oh, right, thank you.
Yeah, that was the great chance that you had, because we were playing on this edge of the board and you were going on your own.
You guys were over there, I was down in here, and I mean, like, the swamp monster itself was like sitting right here at one point, and it was just like, if a tentacle comes up, I'm screwed. Sam rolled the tentacle, I moved it over here, and then right next another one came in, and it was just like, oh, hello, moving back. He would have been dead.
He was a constant lurking.
Right, now, because the game is on Kickstarter, we know it's growing and expanding, So I would actually like a quick chat with you guys as well about what expansions you have done so far, and maybe a little bit of a tease on some of the ones that you're hoping to reach during the campaign, right? Or even after, because the game, once you've made it, it's out there in the wild.
Absolutely.
Do you want to go for that, Andy?
Yeah, we have the monster expansion, which brings in the base for it is 10 monsters. They're based on the monsters we have on the tiles, like the coiling python, the piranha, leaping piranhas. It's called the piranha queen in the monster set, because to make it a little bit more powerful. We have the lizard man and loads of monsters. So you can put them in as alternatives or reinforcements for the swamp monster. So you can get a lot more monsters operating around and eating goblins and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can really enhance the difficulty in that way, or you can just match it up so it's different monsters every game, and obviously then make the replayability even higher. So that's what the monster set brings, and plus it obviously brings a lot of nice monster miniatures to the games as well.
Yeah.
Then we have the Under Mire, which is a board expansion and tile expansion first and foremost, but it also have ghost variations of all the goblins. So the Under Mire is basically the underworld of Miremarsh. It's underneath the surface of Miremarsh. It's the cave world under there. It's gonna be a tough place, even slightly tougher than the Miremarsh. That is quite tough. So you have maybe straight from the go level 2 challenge difficulties and so on. You have alternative quests to do down there, and you can also combine it, or it will be combined with Miremarsh, so you can do either quests up above in Miremarsh or down in Under Mire, and you can get bonuses and so on for that. And then the ghosts, which we are still elaborating on the rules to make that exactly what it is. And basically when you die, a goblin becomes a ghost, and it interferes with the other goblins that are still left there as a nuisance, basically. Then we have, what else do we have? We are working on co-op rules based on the miniature of the Fenlord, which is a big baddie. We have solo play rules that you can play from the set get-go, but we're tweaking it so it's even more fun for solo players. So we have both co-op play and solo play coming through the Kickstarter. And then we have crossovers with is it Durgan's Dwarfs?
Durgan Paintforge, which is a bunch of fantastic, lovely sculpts that Matteo generated through a Kickstarter too. They're really, really gorgeous minis to play, and we could just help ourselves to invite him over and say, we need some dwarves here, please. Because of the nature of the dwarves, I mean, you do not want to spend them. Whereas a goblin is okay to die. You don't want to kill your dwarf once you're playing with it. So the guest adventurers are about playing the game in a different way. So instead of expending your goblins, you are actually taking care of your character towards a quest that is also tailor-made for those characters. So those two collectors things, I think is worth
the other set is the Mantica Adventurers.
Yeah.
So
the Dungeon Saga traditional adventurers, because you have to. you have to have a barbarian, a wizard, and a ranger.
Rogue,
Totally.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to see how they do with the marsh. You know? Goblins live there and die there. How do they do?
Well, I have to say, I love the replayability factor that you guys are building into this game. I mean, like, top marks there, because even in the core set, you have different game every time you play because you've made it so modular. Then you're adding in, okay, here's a new way to play with new heroes, and again with that modular system of everything's going to reshuffle every time you play. You could have completely different quests in the corners. You could have different stuff showing up. You know, maybe that route that you took earlier through the marsh, no, this week, that route is Death Valley. Do not go near that.
Well, one of the things that we're trying to, in a way, is the easiest. Having being part of a studio that is built in. Mary can't help herself to draw and draw and draw and draw. We're just trying to bring more tiles, more pets, more spells, new cards. We have the knickknacks coming now, which are very fun to play cards. One use ridiculous stuff that you would find in the swamp, which goblins always find a use for. So we've got 30 or 40 knickknacks lined up. We've got, I would say, another third of the tiles that you get in the game trying to be unlocked, and I have high expectations for them to come, because that will be the best reward for Mary especially, which is the person who's drawing them all and Andres with the characters and all. So bringing art is I think one of the best rewards for this game, bringing more art. Because that would increase their replayability even more.
Well, I mean, like, just looking at it, it looks like so much fun to explore this swamp. It's just so good. Right, now, future-wise, you've been cycling through some images in the background here, and I want to have a quick word about them, because I think you've been sneaky. Are you showing stuff up there that we've not seen before?
There is my favorite thing that I'm hoping to unlock, and I've got such a high hopes that we're already working on it. I mean, working on something costs money.
Of course.
You know that you just do it, and if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't happen, it's a bit disappointment in many ways. Is the rock goblins.
Right.
We soon realized that this game was about two things. A swamp and a lovely art, and goblins,
of course.
And people were telling us, Angel was one of them that said, there's a range of goblins. There's no such a characterful, heroic looking like range of goblins. So we soon realized that it was about goblins, well identified goblins. So we've got these guys living in the marsh. And me being a greenskin, couldn't help myself to actually look at one of the new tiles that we unlocked, which is the recruit the rock goblins, and think, so there is more goblins, right? So it's the bog goblins and something else called the rock goblins. So we, Andres, the illustrator, and myself went onto exploring what are these guys, where do they live, what do they eat. So the rock goblins are a bunch of guys that we think once they were the same kind of goblins. These goblins rummaged the marsh, and these rock goblins got lost in the Under Mire. The Under Mire is a ancient place where ancient things happened that we don't know
civilizations hidden away and mysteries yet to be revealed.
Don't give it away.
Coming games maybe.
So these guys got lost there, and they built their own living space there. So these guys obviously are now disattached from the goblins, but in a way they want to go back to the surface. They will hopefully, through this campaign, make it back to the surface. So these are goblins that hopefully would bring in and spring the player versus player. They come to the marsh to take over and becoming kings and settle again in the goblin lands.
And vice versa, it maybe backfires, so the bog goblin strikes back. The bog goblins are wily as well, so
that's it.
We don't know what will happen there, But rock goblins are very tough, as you can see in the picture. It's
they are quite mean. Still goblins. There's more intention than fact.
But you just imagine these little guys sitting there going, "Soon the overworld will be out."
There you go. We interpret that the main feature is a bit more tribal.
Yes.
A bit rougher. And we imagine that being in the Under Mire, they probably mingle with rats, obviously giant rats, and giant bats,
of course.
And they like rocks and stones. Yeah. So we are building from there, and I hope this week we're gonna start
seeing some more of them.
You have me curious. You have me curious. Right, what else were you showing us in the images there?
Well, obviously, we are very, very proud of the Fenlord. And I just wanted to say that this image, again, thanks to Andres, this image for me inspired something else. This image was the image that in the studio, I think, told us that we could exploit these a lot more than just a board game.
Yeah.
Again, we are miniatures gamers. We need to refrain ourselves to not get carried away. But when we saw the Fenlord, at least this is my personal impression. I thought we could do better.
Really?
We could do better than some gaming pieces, and that's when we started exploring the journey through. Now let's make real minis.
Yeah, well,
that Fenlord must be a real mini.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I have a painted version of him here. One thing I forgot to mention so far, I love the fact that every last one of the miniatures is standing on a sculpted base, which is swampy, which is so cool. Although this guy, oh my word, look at him.
That's painted by Matt Parks. I also wanted to say that this game is designed by Matt and Sam. You know, we just a studio that is making it pretty and hopefully making it a success. But it's the work of Matt
Green and Sam Mercer.
That's it. Those are the star game designers that brought this to us.
Well, mechanically, the game is fabulous. Miniatures wise, absolutely gorgeous. Art direction, I'm blown away. What more can I really say? I mean, like, this is definitely one to check out if you love your fantasy stuff. If you like something that's quirky with a great sense of humor to it, this is definitely the game for you guys. We have one more there that you were showing off. What was it?
Well, that would be Fizzler.
Oh yes.
And I was just showing this because I would say it's the more goblin for me. This tells me a story that goes beyond a bunch of guys jumping about in a swamp. It tells me that there is a bit of a structure, and this is the shaman of the tribe. Therefore, there's a tribe. I don't know. It gives more personality to the goblins. It dies the same. So it's still a goblin jumping about a marsh. Will eventually meet his fate or her fate. Some people say it's a she, and we're trying to bring more she goblins to the game through the rock goblins. So it's just I just choose this one because alongside the Fenlord, I think it engages you in what is beyond the marsh and what is beyond these goblins.
Yeah. For myself, seeing images like this, I always love personally because it's giving you that idea of here is the concept and then here is the translation. And seeing one to the other, there are some companies out there, they do it okay, but you guys do it fantastically. I mean, like I'm getting the exact same sense of character from the miniature as I do from the artwork, and that's something really special to be able to pull off.
Thank you very much.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about? Or are we going to be prying?
Well, there's one thing that might tease, and is the fact that we just had a look at the comments, and the first thing I want to say is that we have an incredible backers community. Yeah. It's just incredible, and I would forget about backing it, forget about us, forget about the company and the Kickstarter. Just go into the comment section of this campaign, just to see how social media communities can be fantastic. Fantastic. When we started the company, one of my biggest fears was the Kickstarter.
Yes.
You know, it's like you never know what you're going to find until you start one. And we had a fantastic ride with our very first one, Museum Rush. Was absolutely pleasant. So we didn't suffer it. It wasn't sleepless nights. It was a small campaign, you know. But I think the point of the campaign is that we actually enjoy it from the beginning to the end, from the creation of the product to the end of the campaign. And after this day, we're still talking to those guys. We're still communicating with them to tell them where everything is, at which stage. Some of those guys have jumped onto Miremarsh. But Miremarsh is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just it blows my head away, and it makes me feel that at this very moment we have a retail pledge, and we are absolutely thrilled to engage with retailers, and we invite them all to come and be participant of this. And there's a lot of fantastic retailers that have done so. They are contacting us because they like our games. We are going to stores and showing the games and engaging with them. But I want to really take care of that community. I think we all are absolutely engaged with those guys. They are bringing in ideas that we are going to execute in the game.
And I also show my interact that the Kickstarter is really it's an entertainment. It's an enjoyment for the people to go into a project, find people who likes the same thing, and then just have fun with them and watching the project come alive, basically. And that's what's happening right now at Miremarsh, which is really exciting to see from the creator's perspective, where people take the whole concept and run with it, basically. And it's super exciting to see.
It's one thing that I've said to many creators over the years while I feel very lucky to have worked in this industry and actually seeing it grow. The industry is such a social place. I mean, like, you go into like another serious industry and it's very, cutthroat. In here, everybody between companies is friends, having fun, feeding into each other's ideas. The creative aspects of this game and of any game are always made better by the fact that the people like yourselves behind it, the ones making it, are so invested in it emotionally and actually just love creating it, love exploring the world, love telling the stories that we put on the tabletop, because that's what every single game we play does. It's telling some form of story, of an adventure that we can play out on the tabletop. And me personally, I'm looking forward to more adventures with goblins.
Fantastic.
All right, well, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you in.
Thanks a lot.
I'm sure we'll be seeing more from you guys in the future, because I'm sure Miremarsh is not going to be the only baby coming out of Room17 Games.
It absolutely won't.
Everybody, I tell you what, get your comments in below. Tell us, what are you thinking of Miremarsh? What are you thinking of the art direction, the actual storytelling mechanics of this game? We'll move on. We'll see you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, thanks.